Hello, my name is Layla Wati Hull. For the past 5 years, I have been attending Western Oregon University pursuing a Bachelor's of Fine Art with a focus in sculpture. Not in a million years would I have imagined getting a degree in art, let alone accomplishing a BFA. I originally made the decision to attend WU after being recruited to play on the Wolves volleyball team. With not a clue in my head of what I wanted to major in, I spent my first 2 years taking an array of courses, filling up my general education requirements. As my sophomore year was heading to a close, I knew I had to declare a major. Unfortunately, I was still at a standstill on deciding what I wanted to pursue. At the time, I was taking an Intro to 2D Design course, and my professor, Kim Hoffman, continually spoke to me about majoring in art, but I was doubtful. I wasn't that kid that grew up drawing all the time, painting, or creating any chance I got. And on top of my doubts and insecurities, I always heard that athletes couldn't major in art. The time spent traveling during season and the precious class time being missed was not going to be sustainable in getting projects finished. No athlete from Western Oregon has ever graduated majoring in art, let alone a Bachelor's of Fine Art. But one day, Kim walked into class with a change of major form he filled out, handed it to me, and said, "I need you to sign this." From that day forward, I have never looked back. Today, I will share with you my journey at Western through my time here in the art department, focusing on my sculptural works, including ceramics, as well as a few explorative paintings this past year. I intend to show my passion for emotion, self-expression, and the female form. I would like to share my artist statement with you before diving into my works. The world likes to tell us to lock away our emotions, find a little box with a key, and hide it all away. Resist opening up and being vulnerable, and fear showing weakness. But emotion is what makes us human. It is the common denominator that connects us to one another. In a world governed by logic and reasoning, I intend to stimulate what makes us human, our emotions. Exploring the silent language that is communicated between my work and its viewer, I focus on the human form to create a direct connection with my audience. Art gives me another language to express myself and my emotions in ways I cannot communicate with words. This sculpture is what started it all. It's my first major sculpture, and I ironically named it Wooden Rocks. It is created out of laminated pieces of maple wood, which were then carved into each specific form. Being the first piece I created, I originally wanted to accentuate the beauty of this natural material I was working with. Wood has always been a special material to me. In Hawaiian culture, wood was one of the most important materials used. The natural beauty of the grain and color was something I tried to bring forth and into the spotlight. With this intent in mind, I decided the best way to do so was to create a piece with balance, executed through the use of dominant, subdominant, and subordinate forms of each rock. Stacked rocks, or cairns, depict a sense of balance, harmony with nature, and a feeling of calmness and peace, which I thought perfectly reflected the qualities I see in wood. This was my first major ceramic piece completed. It is a high-relief carving made from stoneware clay. My intent was to put my feelings of sadness and loneliness into this piece, an emotional self-portrait in hopes that a person viewing this could connect with the emotions being experienced in the work and know they aren't alone in the way they may feel. Stimulating those emotions allows the audience to confront any situations or experiences that have brought about the feeling they receive when looking at this work. The asymmetry of this piece was essential to the balance of the work. The woman being confined to this box, the crouching slouch of her body language, unable to fully fit into this place without going inward to herself. It creates an emphasis on the emotion that I am trying to depict. Reflecting upon these two works, being as they are the kickstart of my step into the art world, these directly reflect what I as an artist have learned over the years about myself. My intent to stimulate emotion through the silent language communicated between my work and its viewer. The theme behind my work was to create a piece that connected me to my roots and my culture back in Hawaii. Mai Ka'aina Mai means from the land. This piece was created to hold to my native Hawaiian culture to represent that we as Hawaiians and the human race come from the land. Without the earth that we live on, we cannot exist. During the time of creation, the eruption of Kilauea on the Big Island of Hawaii was headliner news in my home state, provoking me to explore the idea of our ancestors, gods, and goddesses of Hawaii. Pele is the goddess of fire and volcanoes, who has overseen the split in the island of Hawaii during the lava flows. Because of this, I decided I wanted to create a piece using wood and touching upon how humans come from the earth. By using wood as the perfect material as it comes from nature itself, Along with the primary use in the Hawaiian culture, I created a female torso as if it were emerging from the ground and holding root in the earth. Another inspiration was from the Bible, how God created Adam from the dirt of the earth. In Genesis 3:19 it says, "In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground, for out of dust you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you shall return. From the earth we come, and to the earth we return." This is a stele I created from stoneware. Historically, a stele is a stone or wooden slab, generally taller than it is wide, erected in the ancient world as a monument. Created for many reasons, stelae were used for funerary or commemorative purposes or as a memorial to battles. I created this stele to visually represent how children are directly influenced by their environment. The removal of all eyes was intentional in communicating how everything we see when we are young is absorbed through our sight. However, we are only exposed to what society or parents tell us. We are told what is right and wrong, how we should act, molded to what the people in power tell us to be, essentially being blinded. The grimness of this piece directly speaks upon the negativity that a child is surrounded by, which explicitly affects how a child is influenced. The color and texture were essential to the creation of this work. In order to exhibit the monumental spirit of a stele, I needed to create something strong and bold, something that would catch a viewer's eye, a work that would be aggressive and impossible to ignore or avoid. The choice of a neutral, cool gray not only represents stone, but is also typically referred to as emotionless and having a sense of lack of life. By not only causing unsettling feelings through the violent imagery of the manipulated baby doll heads, the use of the color gray accentuates those feelings of uneasiness. I call this piece self-love. The theme behind my work is to bring forth the idea of self-love. Today, mental illnesses are a big issue that some people try to ignore. My inspiration behind this piece was a personal experience with depression and self-harm. During the time I created it, I had just recently become comfortable speaking to other people about it, and I decided that I wanted to show the vulnerability of it all. It was also a way for me to fully come to terms with what had happened and try to bring the topic forth as a conversation other people can have as well. The casting of my own arm was deliberate in being a representational piece of myself. I decided to use the ceramic shards to show the delicacy of the fragileness while also showing the danger and hurt that the sharp pieces can provide. In a typical self-harm occurrence, the bandages would be wrapped around the site of incision. However, I wanted to show the viewers that to me there is a sense of acceptance that I have now achieved. Therefore, I wrapped the rest of the arm with bandages and exposed the cuts. All of the works that I have shown you thus far are explorations of conceptual work, with significant importance on the abstraction being communicated through the piece, particularly exploring how emotion is being stimulated. My current work, from September 2019 till now, focuses mainly on exploring the relationship between material and form. In both of these paintings, I wanted to explore the two-dimensional realm of depicting the female form as a sculpture. Focusing on line and color in each painting, I intended to explore the emotion that is communicated through the works. For me, the human form is not just a symbol. It is more than just a casing which our soul resides in, more than just skin and bone. It is something worth exploring, something worth learning about, a wondrous live sculpture that should be appreciated for all the beauty it has to offer. I believe it to be one of the greatest creations on earth, and it should be viewed in that manner. The female form is configured through a vast range of curves and lines as well as shapes and forms that must truly be explored to fully grasp the magnificent beauty in which it holds. In hopes of creating a new way of seeing, exploring, and understanding the form, I challenged myself to investigate in detail at what makes up the landscape of the female body. This is what this past school year I have been exploring through my current works. My intent behind these next two sculptures was to understand how the two elements, wood and the female form, coincide with one another, resulting in an increase of comprehension to better enhance the communication between my work and its viewers. In this piece, I wanted to challenge myself with the in-between of 2D and 3D works. Choosing to create a relief carving originally intended to be a low-relief carving to enhance the lines and curves that are carefully put together to create the full image of a female form. However, a big focus personally while working on this piece was to explore and pay respect to the material I chose, the maple wood. As I further worked with the wood, it came to my attention that the natural grain lines of the wood were competing with the contour lines that I was carving to create the body. Therefore, I had to carve deeper, pulling the shapes out of the wood while creating more drastic planes on the surface to create stronger, more recognizable forms. There's no head intentionally as to disassociate identity to the female form, with the intent of allowing viewers to focus on the body as the subject itself. In this work, my intent was to achieve an ambiguous and abstract approach in displaying the female figure. Once again, paying respect and appreciation to the material, I decided to focus on emphasizing the beauty encapsulated within the wood itself. The ambiguity of creating the sculpture within the negative space was something that I have never thought of doing previously, leaving only line to create what the female form would be represented by. In trying to achieve the greatest level of abstraction while still rendering the body legible, I decided to make the three forms as organic looking as I could, as if the forms were growing out of the ground. By focusing on the shape of each form, as well as creating texture opposed to sanding it smooth, I was able to emphasize the naturalness of the organic forms. I shall never tell a viewer what to see or what to get out of my work. I may only tell you what I see and what it means to me personally. We are all sculpted and created through our own personal experiences and emotions, which configure our thought, reaction, and interpretations to everything. It would be silly of me to insist that the viewer must perceive, think, or feel what I do while viewing my work. Instead, I challenge viewers to take the time to not just see, but to observe. Truly open your eyes and embrace what you feel. Build the connections between eyes, mind, and heart to fully immerse yourself into the work and all that it may offer. Art has shaped me into who I am today. It has given me confidence in my own voice and to be who I want to be. I intend to continue to pursue my art career to the highest platform I can. My goal is to travel the world creating art, displaying my work in museums around the world, and eventually be able to give back to those in need. As we see in the current situation our country and world are in today, life is extremely unpredictable. No amount of planning and preparation will be able to fully equip you with what life will throw your way. One step at a time, I look forward to taking each day as it is given to me, pushing myself to be better, do better, and truly make a difference in the world. I appreciate your time and attention spent here with me today. Thank you.